Did you know that there is a coaching vacancy at a rather big time group of five school, as in a playoff caliber school, not just in 2024 and beyond? Yeah, there is. Want to make sure you're all aware of it. So, been meeting to get to this on the show, had a bunch of content at SEC Media Days last week, but I did not forget about you, Fresno State. I did not overlook the fact that Jeff Tedford, unfortunately, had to retire due to medical complications. And we all certainly wish Jeff the best and hope that he is able to go into retirement and enjoy everything and anything that he wants to do after a long and successful and storied coaching career. So now the question becomes, what do you do if you are Fresno State? Because the Bulldogs now are going to try and make the playoff without their head coach. And look, do I still think that at the end of the day, the Bulldogs could win the Mountain West? Sure. Do I feel as confident in it? No. Is Tim Skipper good? He could be. That's the interim head coach and probably the interviewing head coach, who is, of course, promoted from the staff because there were no other options, even this late in the coaching carousel. But this is now an open, high-profile group of five job. So if you're a fan of a Power Four school out there, this is not one your head coach is going to leave for, but you better watch out for your coordinators. Do you know how many coordinators that want to be a head coach that would say, yeah, I'll take the Fresno State job? Pretty good job as far as group of five schools are concerned. Pretty high-level brand there. You're in the state of California, so you have some fertile recruiting ground not far away from where you are. Driving distance, north and south. So you got a talent base, you got a brand. Look, that's a job that if you want to have your first head coaching opportunity, gosh, it'd be a great one. It'd be a great one if the ties lined up. But here's a name. I'm just going to throw this name out there. I haven't seen his name on any lists, and it's going to sound a little crazy, but I am not going Paul Feinbaum here. I legitimately think this could be a good idea. Does the name Brian Harsin mean anything to you? Because Brian Harsin was a head coach at Boise State before he went down to Auburn. That was a disaster. And he's been out of coaching for several years, at least in the head coaching space for college football. So why exactly would he not be a candidate for this particular role? Allow me to read you his coaching records whilst at Boise State. 12-2, 9-4, 10-3, 11-3, 10-3, 12-2, 5-2 in the COVID year, including winning his last 13 consecutive Mountain West regular season football games. 8-0 in 2019 and 5-0 in 2020. That's not bad. So he's a well-known name out west. He's got familiarity with the conference. Heck, he's familiar with your school because he's played against them several times. It's a name I haven't seen flying around, and I think should be. Because at first, when it was suggested to me, I went, that would be so funny. Wait a minute. What? Well, he didn't work at Auburn. Yeah, but he worked at Boise State. And Barry Odom, by the way, go look at his coaching track record. Didn't go so well at his previous stop as a head coach, and then, what was that? Oh, that's right. He had UNLV at a level that they have not seen in quite a long time. And they're a team in 2024 that could suddenly reach the Mountain West Championship game. Dare I say they have realistic hopes or expectations of competing for that sort of level? That was unthinkable. That was completely and utterly unthinkable. So Tim Skipper could be the guy. If Fresno State has a good enough year, and I'm going to answer this question more in just a moment, if they have a good enough year, I'd expect Skipper to be the hire. Boise State quite literally just did this. Now, Andy Avalos, who's now the defensive coordinator at TCU, he didn't retire due to medical concerns. He was relieved of his coaching duties, and Danielson stepped in, and it went really well. And Spencer Danielson, now the head coach of Boise State football, they're the Mountain West favorites. They've got a win total of 9.5, despite a challenging schedule, and they have probably the most talented backfield in the entire Mountain West in Malachi Nelson and Ashton Genty. So, when I think about what Fresno State can do this year and what they're capable of and what my expectations were before Jeff Tedford stepped down, it was to be at least a 7-win team, if not an 8 or 9-win program. with a path potentially to backdoor their way into the playoff with the group of 5 auto bid. Because if they end the year with a Power 4 win against UCLA and they toss in a Mountain West Conference championship win, if they're sitting there 10-3, they're going to lose week 1 on the road at Michigan. They're 20.5-point underdogs. They're not going to pull a Colorado at TCU. That's just not going to take place. Michigan will not lose that game week 1 in the Big House. But if they go out the rest of their schedule and they lose one time and they then beat UCLA and then they beat, and suddenly, wow, if they found their way into the conference championship game, I have a hard time seeing Tim Skipper not being named the full-time head coach. The question is, where's the line of demarcation? At what point do you say, for a guy who has not been a head coach of a program before, but has a mighty long, impressive resume, including a playing career at Fresno State, at what point do you say, this might be his opportunity? This might be the chance he needs to be a full-time head coach. If Fresno State goes 8-4 this year and wins a bowl game, if they go 9-4, gosh, that feels like it'd be enough. I think 8 is the point in the regular season, regardless of what happens in the bowl game, where Tim Skipper would get the job. If they go 7-5, if they go 6-6, I don't think he automatically gets it. Certainly you have to look at him as the leading candidate because he is what Jake Dickert was at Washington State several years ago. He's not so much the interim head coach as he is the interviewing head coach every single week. So the way he talks with donors, the way he runs his practices, the way they perform on the field, the way they improve or don't improve throughout the course of the year, this is going to be a week-to-week proposition, which makes them arguably the most fascinating team to watch in the Mountain West, even though, as I said, it's a big change to undergo to suddenly have an interim acting head coach this late in the process. It can throw a wrinkle into the locker room, but maybe that team plays inspired. Maybe that team has a win for Kevin Ware sort of mentality, and hey, coach, we were going to get there with you. We're going to get there for you. If he galvanizes that locker room around that sort of idea, maybe that's enough to ride their momentum into the conference championship game. If they make an appearance in the Mountain West championship game, Tim Skipper will be the next full-time official head coach of Fresno State football. If they don't do that, I don't think it's guaranteed. But if they're 9-3 and they didn't get in, I think he's there. If he's 8-4, that's probably context dependent. If he's 7-5, I think you look elsewhere because this is a team that should be at that sort of level. So if you had those sorts of expectations or aspirations as a program with Jeff Tedford there, then you should have if you have a guy in Tim Skipper who is ready to be that head coach, then he's going to have them playing at the very least close to the level you thought that Tedford team was capable of. Fascinating situation in Fresno. The end of July and the coaching carousel is popping up. It's already here. College football. Would you have it any other way? Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. And until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.